The view is stunning, and even more so because it overlooks modern and ancient Shiloh, the site where the Bible says the Tabernacle and the Ark of the Covenant rested for nearly 400 years. How do they know it's the biblical site? One resident likened the Bible's description to a navigation app pinpointing the ancient location.
There's a verse at the end of the book of Judges, chapter 21, verse 19. It's like using Waze in ancient times, tells you exactly how to get to Shiloh. And they said, behold, there is a feast of the Lord from year to year in Shiloh, which is on the north of Bethel, on the east side of the highway that goeth up from Bethel to Shechem, and on the south of Libonah.
Eliana Passantine lives in Eli. Named for the biblical high priest, her home overlooks Highway 60, which has a history traveling back to the times of the patriarchs.
We know where ancient Bethel is. We know where Libonah is. There's actually an Arab village called Luban, which preserves the ancient biblical name, and Beitin, which is Beitel, and the highway, Highway 60, also known as Derech HaAvot, the highway of the patriarchs. Take the 0 off the 60, it's Kvish 6, it's Highway 6 from ancient times, like the main artery of life.
Abraham, Jacob, and Joseph walked this highway.
80% of the stories in the Bible, in the Old Testament, and our Bible, occurred here in Judea and Samaria, in this region. It's amazing. Everywhere you go, it's ancient biblical history. But we're here because of Shiloh, which is just beneath us.
The round tower and ancient tell below are the site of Israel's tabernacle, where the first book of Samuel says Hannah cried out to God for a son.
It's the story of Israel's first capital, where the tabernacle stood for 369 years. 369 years, this was the center for the 12 tribes. This was the center of Israel. And everything surrounding is, we're all back here because of that story.
250,000 Israelis live in this area that much of the world considers part of the West Bank. In fact, it's the Benjamin Regional Council, named for the biblical inheritance given to the tribe of Benjamin. Despite the area's deep biblical roots, Israelis here face the constant threat of terrorists who aim to drive them from the land. Israel Gantz heads the Benjamin Regional Council. He says there are 2 steps to fighting and defeating the terrorists. One is militarily, and the best way is for more Israelis to make their homes and start their families here.
Our answer for the terror is deep in our roots. Especially when we see them trying to attack, we'll expand our communities, we will build more, we will expanding the roads, the infrastructure, because we're here to stay. And if they think they can frighten us, the answer is no. We'll grow up.
Passantine and her husband are raising their 8 children here in Eli.
It's a life with a lot of meaning, with the most beautiful nature and a wonderful, warm community. The kids leave their bikes outside, nobody's going to steal them, and you borrow sugar and milk from your neighbors. And there's a feeling of togetherness, of community.
Eli was established in 1984 and planned as a city built on the hilltops.
What I love about it is the fact that we're living in the biblical heartland. I wake up every morning excited and happy and grateful to God that we're here. And we have a special story that kind of just evolved.
Passantine has lived on her hilltop for 25 years, 10 of those in a trailer before they built their home.
Sometimes we had electricity, sometimes we had no running water. Today we have no Wi-Fi, so people say, forget the water, the electricity, but no Wi-Fi. So that's modern day pioneering.
Passantine had her home designed to have the shape of one from ancient Shiloh, and she wanted every window to tell a story.
When we started the infrastructure for our home, we found hundreds of pottery shards. We live overlooking the place of the tabernacle. So we have broken dishes from Jewish families from 3,500 years ago all over our backyard.
But Passantine's big hope is generational.
My dream is that our children grow up understanding and appreciating the privilege they have of living in the biblical heartland.
Julie Stahl, CBN News, Eli, Samaria.